Thank you, NBS-TRN Steering Committee, for the opportunity to be here to speak to you about the Family Foundations, particularly the work of the Legacy of Angels Foundation. I am Stacy Pike Langenfeld, Executive Director of the Legacy of Angels Foundation. Here we have our co-founders, Paul and the late Sue Rosenau. I am actually the daughter of Paul and Sue. This foundation was started in 2008 after the couple won the largest Powerball in the state of Minnesota at that time. This funding allowed Paul and Sue to take action in honor of their granddaughter, Michaela, who lost her life to Krabbe disease, and also in honor of their daughter, Heather, whose family was impacted by cystic fibrosis. Paul and Sue were eager to improve the science of these two rare diseases to ensure future families had access to better treatment modalities, leading to improved health and quality of life. Just to kind of provide you an overview of the landscape for Krabbe disease in 2008, there was little insight and information for families, little opportunity for treatment, as most were diagnosed symptomatically. Only families with a prior history, meaning that you've lost a child, were often given any treatment options. Just like in our case for Michaela, who was my daughter, most cases were offered to take their child home and make them as comfortable as possible until death. Few experts existed. In fact, most families communicated by a managed online blog to hear from others on what worked and didn't work to manage pain, secretions, seizures, digestion, and other common ailments of this disease. Another arm of our mission is cystic fibrosis, another rare disease. Cystic fibrosis was further along than Krabbe disease. The Cystic Fibrosis Foundation has done a tremendous job in pushing research along. However, there were still issues: sweat testing accuracy, infections that were difficult and unresponsive to antibiotics, most still dying of pulmonary malfunction, the ability to maintain an intense med regimen. Many cystic fibrosis patients are taking a cocktail of pills several times a day and require shaky vest therapy, amongst other things. Also, identification of CFTR mutations and understanding their pathogenic mechanisms. Since 2008, our Family Foundation has worked hard in both Krabbe disease and cystic fibrosis. How have we been successful in this? We surround ourselves with experts and other individuals passionate about our mission, including organizations such as the NBS-TRN. In Krabbe disease, one of the biggest things we did was help make the Krabbe Translational Research Network Collaborative happen. It was started by Dr. Maria Luisa Escolar, and she led these meetings for several years. However, TLOF now organizes the agenda and ensures the meeting is collaborative to continue forward momentum on our mission. As a result, we've been successful in the following areas. We have identified a biomarker for Krabbe disease known as cytosine. We've improved newborn screening with the help of second-tier testing. We've identified vectors appropriate in treating Krabbe disease. We've provided funding to assist with Krabbe disease natural history. We've also added a virtual medical home so those near and afar can get expert advice on the ability to treat or make children comfortable at home. We've also provided centers family funds to seek expert care and treatment. And we've also provided funding for toxicology studies, which have led to clinical trials. As far as cystic fibrosis is concerned, our organization is not the face of CF. The Cystic Fibrosis Foundation is, and they should be. However, we've made systematic changes in areas of concern that the CF Foundation is not concentrating on at this time due to bigger project demands. We've provided funding that has improved the method of sweat testing. We've published on potential advantages of an IRT and NGS screening algorithm for CF, and embarked on a big project to see if the use of whole genome sequencing can help identify non-CFTR genetic variants in individual patients to help preserve optimal health. And contributed funding to construct an illustration on the CF causing mutations and their pathogenic mechanisms, which is useful to treating physicians. Now let's take a peek at newborn screening. We're a proponent of this public health program. When we embarked, a majority of states were already screening for cystic fibrosis. In fact, all states have been testing since 2015. However, it was different for Krabbe disease. Only New York was doing a pilot study, which started in 2009. So there's a tremendous amount of work and continues to be a tremendous amount of work that needs to happen for Krabbe disease to end up on all of the state's newborn screening panels. But here's just a short, brief overview of kind of how we've improved newborn screening in both CF and Krabbe disease. We've provided quality improvements in the screening for CF. We have provided funding for a video that is used for improving education about newborn screening. And we partnered with an organization called Save Babies. And we also improve the assay for second-tier testing of Krabbe disease. As you can see, family foundations are important, especially in the rare disease space where funding becomes more and more limited. You may know Robert Guthrie was impacted by his son and by his niece. They both had ailments that affected their overall health. And there's many others names listed here on the screen that continue to help advance movements to move their respective disease space forward. So what does our family foundation really do? Well, we evaluate and distribute grant dollars to advance the science around two disorders that impacted our family genetics. Those are Krabbe disease and cystic fibrosis. We also fund awareness projects in the two disease spaces. We are also a convener. We bring researchers, clinicians, industry, and patients together to ensure that we all share resources and understand that working together brings about change quicker. And we are also a collective voice. We collect and inform stakeholders, pharma companies, and important other people in the community on the impact of Krabbe disease and cystic fibrosis on the patient, family, and the community. How we set up our organization is really about our values. We value collaboration, such as with the National Organization on Rare Disorders, ULF, Hunter's Hope, NBSTRN. We value ethics, and we are science-driven. And our buckets look like this. Our funding for research and advocacy are our top two priorities. And obviously we have operations at the bottom because this is what supports our research funding and disease advocacy. And as you can see off to the right, they're just some of the things that fall within each disease, within each bucket. Well, I wanted just to provide you with some key takeaways today to really bring this presentation together. That historically, family foundations are really important. They really help bring significant funding on disease research, advocacy, screening, and even treatment. We encourage you, if you're thinking about starting a foundation, to become familiar with the unmet needs in your disease space and understand which areas need focused on. And if you don't have the bandwidth or financial means to really begin a foundation, don't worry. Just pick up the phone and connect with others in the disease space or even networks such as the NBSTRN. And focus on certain areas of a disease space. You can't do it all. And that, if you do try to do it all, it becomes very overwhelming. So find areas that are of interest to you and direct funds towards that project so it feels as though you are making steps towards achieving that goal. And don't be afraid to collaborate. Use your resources. This philanthropic thing is tough work, and some families become discouraged as progress does take time. It does take strategic planning and resources other than money. And most importantly, remember your why. Don't forget your story and why you embarked on this journey. This will help you remain steadfast in your commitment to meet your goal. And I just want to talk a little bit about collaboration with networks such as the NBSTRN. So the Legacy of Angels Foundation is a voice for those two rare diseases, cystic fibrosis and Krabbe disease. And we can use that voice to help networks such as the NBS-TRN devise diagnostic technologies and improve management approaches to these rare conditions. They're also a good collaborator in helping support and establish evidence-based screening. And so it's kind of this back and forth set of information where they have a network of individuals that they can tap into to then help us to meet the needs of our goals and our mission. I want to say a special thank you to the NBS-TRN for this opportunity to share our story. And really, this foundation is near and dear to my heart as we continue to work to help those living life undefined by Krabbe disease and cystic fibrosis. Thank you so much.